I'm Katie Anderson, curriculum writer, gifted teacher, gifted endorsement teacher, parent of gifted kiddos. You're already a pro at parenting, so stay tuned and I'm going to help you become a pro at teaching. All right, this time I want to talk to you about, is my child gifted, and how you can figure that out, some things that we can do for them. Well, this has been a passion of mine since my own two kids were real little, and I knew they were a little bit different, and I really wanted to be a better teacher for them and a better mom for them. So I went and got gifted endorsed, and I've been writing and teaching gifted curriculum ever since, and now I'm actually one of the instructors for that gifted endorsement program in my district. Definitely passionate about making sure that these gifted kiddos get what they need in their learning process. So let's talk about some of the common characteristics of a gifted kid. There's plenty more than this, but I wanted to break down 5 really common gifted characteristics that will help you notice, first of all, do you think your kid is gifted? And then we're going to talk about some things that we can do to help become better teachers for them. So there are many definitions online. If you just want a strict definition of gifted, the national government defines gifted as kids who show a higher achievement level, whether it be intellectual, creative, artistic, or in leadership areas. Different states are going to have a different definition, maybe a different definition or just a different way of identifying those kids. Some states, like the one I live in, use an IQ test. Some use teacher and parent collaboration and recommendations. Some use a creativity test. Whatever it is, hopefully these tips will help you figure out if you think your kid is gifted. And if you already know they are, stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about some strategies we can use if they are gifted to just be a better teacher for them. All right, the first one. Does your kid ask a lot of questions? And I mean a lot of questions. And as they do, they seem to retain that information super easily, like they hear it once or read it once, and they just know it. Well, that's a definite sign of giftedness. What can we do about that? Well, we can ask them questions that can't just be Googled. Like, it's not just a simple answer that you could find in a Google search, and challenge them to collect information and content and kind of assimilate it together to make those connections. We also need to be asking them to develop questions that will inspire them to deepen their research or dive deeper into discussions with other people or even experts in the field, so that they can start making some connections between their experiences and the information that they're learning. All right, here's another one. Did your kid understand sarcasm and satire at a really early age, or you just notice that their sense of humor is a little more advanced than the kids that are around them? Again, another sign of giftedness. Well, what do we do about that? The most important part is really to teach them a little bit about their audience, so that we can make sure they know when and where it's appropriate to use their particular sense of humor. The other one is, let's provide them with satire. Let's find some books like our classic Animal Farm, and there's plenty you can find online, but let's find some books and give them a good deep satire to read. You read it alongside of them, and then have those kind of conversations and discussions. Another gifted manifestation is feeling super deeply sensitive. All of your emotions being heightened. So if you notice that maybe when your kid is sad, or would be understandable to be sad, that sad turns into devastation. Or giving them some constructive feedback all of a sudden turns into them thinking it's a personal affront to their character. Or getting a little bit upset or mad turns into outright rage. What are we supposed to do about that? What can we do about that? Because that heightened sensitivity is very common in our gifted kids. So as a teacher and as a parent, one of the things that we can do is first just accept and validate their feelings. This isn't something that they have the kind of control over that you wish they did. The next one is to give them a little bit of space. I have to do this in my classroom just the same, because you know your kiddos, everyone's kiddos come to me in a classroom and they bring all of this with them. So I oftentimes, the lines of being teacher and parent can get blurred. So I try to make sure I give them the space to kind of breathe and accept their feelings, and not try to push them into that conversation right off the bat. And then try to give them opportunities to run outside and do a lap real quick, get some exercise in, or teach them some deep breathing techniques, or maybe even some sort of meditation techniques if that's something that you do as an adult. Maybe it's something we can teach our kids to do. Here's another one. Now, my number 4 is your kid bored with the traditional curriculum? Like they just don't see a point to it. They don't see how it connects to their world. Well, this happens very, very often. They don't see that connection and that point, then oftentimes they just won't do it and they become underperformers. Well, what we can do as teachers is make sure we're giving them opportunities as often as possible to connect what they're learning with the real world. Find ways they can apply it, ways they can see where this would make sense in the real world. Give them some projects, give them something more than just memorizing and spitting out that information. Making sure we give them some hands-on opportunities to build, to construct, to create. And my last gifted characteristic I want to talk to you about today is the one that usually is the most annoying for most people, the hardest one for us to get used to with our kids. Does your kid have a deep, deep sense of justice, like what's right and wrong, to the point where they need you to give rationale for every rule, and it feels like they're always wanting to argue their point and what they think is right or wrong? They do this with their friends and with you. If you see that in your child, that is very, very likely a gifted manifestation. Well, what can we do about that? The most obvious is teaching them the importance of a respectful communication, even if that means they need to step to the side, calm down, really think about how they want to communicate, and remember to be an active listener with the person who doesn't maybe agree with their point. Another thing we can challenge these kids to do is accept the fact that they did have an opinion, that they do see what's right and wrong. And sometimes when we step back and listen, I've even changed some of my policies in my classroom based on kids who had some really good, valid points and ideas of how certain structures should be put into place. So sometimes just being so open to knowing that maybe our gifted kiddo has a better idea than we did. And another one is to encourage them to find some sort of evidence, something to back up that opinion. Like go out and really have something other than just an opinion, and have some sort of evidence or facts to back it. The other thing that is really important to them is if this is a bigger world issue, something that goes beyond your house or beyond the schoolroom, give them some opportunities as often as possible to take what they think is right and wrong and really do something about it. Go out into the world and volunteer, or maybe start a service project, something that allows them to feel like they really are making a difference. They're not just a kid stuck at home waiting until they get old enough to make a difference. All right, I could talk about gifted kids and gifted education for hours. I love it. I'm passionate about it. If you want to hear anything else, stick that in the comments. I'd be happy to make a video for you. Otherwise, I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Happy teaching, parents.